Hello and welcome to the Random Film Podcast on the Techno Staple Productions channel. I'm James Wilday, your host, and today on the show we're going to do kind of a bit of a different episode. I have no other co-host with me today, it's just going to be me, and I'm going to share with you a Q&A I helped in for a competition with the theme of Who Am I? And for this I submitted my film Tabletop Shots, as it fit in the time constraint of 10 minutes and also worked quite well with the theme. The event was organised by the South Downs Filmmakers group. What happened at the event is we had a screening of all the different films, and there was a brilliant array of different, there was documentaries, there was animations, and, really some cool stuff to see from local filmmakers. And then afterwards, all the filmmakers, including me, went to the front and were asked questions about their films. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play you my part of the Q&A, and then afterwards I'm going to go over the written feedback I was given by the judges and just respond to that because I think that'll be interesting. So yeah, here's the Q&A. I'm James Wilday and I did the Tabletop Shots film.
More questions for any of our filmmakers?
I have one. Wonderful. How many takes did it do to get that whole thing done?
Well, this is the thing, because we spent about 4 days rehearsing that. So it wasn't really a case of, we recorded every single take, and I had takes and they're in completely different costumes, and at the start they were actually reading the script. So of course we're not going to use those, we didn't just go straight into it. We kind of developed over time. After each rehearsal, I'd take notes and I'd be like, I want you to change this, can we alter this? And it was actually a case of one of the actors, because we did a dress rehearsal on Thursday, and we got one which we thought was kind of good enough. And I was like, can we just leave it there? Because I was a bit fed up with it, hearing the lines over and over again. And I think they were as well. But they were like, no, I'm not really sure. And I actually, after each rehearsal, I edited the whole film each time. So it was almost a case of rehearsing the editing process. So, of course it was only rough though, I didn't do like a full-on nice render or anything. But then on Friday, we did do the final thing, and we probably like maybe 6 different takes. I mean, sometimes they got cut because like people just walk past and just talk, even though we were doing
On the seagulls.
Yes, exactly. And that was the other thing, because I recorded 2 lots of the audio, so I'd have a backup. And I was a bit worried. I was planning to like try and silence some of the noise, but I just wanted like it to sound as organic as possible.
Was it, what made you decide, was it a conscious decision just to have the fixed camera? Or did you
Yes, it was like an idea that I was thinking, like, because I like single take, the idea of a single take film, and I was thinking what could be the simplest way I could do a single take film, and it would be just a case of filming a conversation. So yeah, I had the fixed camera. I actually had, I drew on the camera screen of the guides where I was planning on putting the shots, so I'd know where the film would kind of take place, so I could kind of see behind. Because with some of the, because with the insert shots I put there, I didn't want to cover up their face.
Yeah.
And realise, oh no, I shot it, but I can't use it because it doesn't work. And I tried to center it as well, try and make it all symmetrical. But yeah, it was always from the start. I drew a kind of storyboard. The only kind of storyboard I needed to use was one shot.
And was there anything you would do differently now you look back at it?
I mean, no, because it's quite a stripped down project as it is.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy. Maybe just the audio I'd like to do a bit better, but overall, in terms of the pacing and the eyes and stuff like that, it worked really well. And I think definitely doing the rehearsals helped with that. Yeah.
He's a great actor, the Garner. I like the Garner left. He's acting great.
Yeah, he's very good, and I've actually collaborated with both of them since.
Yeah.
We've done another short film, but worked with more actors this time. So that was quite a good learning experience working with other people, because before that I'd only directed myself.
Are you studying Northbrook? Sorry.
Yes, but not any filmmaking stuff. I'm studying production design, so I made the props there and stuff like that. And that was kind of the case of starting filmmaking, was I can make films to include my props in.
How did you record the sound?
The sound is actually behind the table. There's just a phone or a bag recording, so it's quite close to them because the camera's quite far away. But I did also record on a shotgun microphone as well, just in case. But I ended up using the phone because it just sounded more clear.
I just say it was a very constructive criticism because I really did enjoy the film. somebody who's quite geriatric and a little bit deaf, the seagulls, there are programs, I'm sure you know, that will take them down.
Exactly.
And I think you'd reach a slightly wider audience if you did just get rid of them.
What I did is I tested that with something called, I think it's Adobe Podcast or something, and I tried it, and it took all the stuff out, but just at points it just sounds so confusing.
Adobe Podcast.
Yeah.
It sort of replaces the voices with that.
Yeah, and I just didn't really.
It doesn't sound like them anymore.
No,
it's like someone else.
It didn't really work. I mean, definitely for podcasts it would be useful, but for acting it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
There are various other ones that keep at it. Don't give up. Try a new program.
Yeah.
Just put you down just a little bit. And that'll do it.
Sound is so important, isn't it?
Yeah.
It gets neglected so often, but it is so important. You know, especially something like your film, you really need to hear the dialogue because it's a story. You know, I mean, I've watched it a few times. I'm into it now. I can get it. But the first time I watched it, I did struggle a bit. But it's great. I mean, that's not a criticism of the film.
So that was the Q&A. It was a lot of fun to do. I really enjoyed just hearing what people, what questions people had about my film and answering it alongside other filmmakers. I just found that really, really quite fun, and I really enjoyed it. But now I'm going to go over the written feedback I was given. We were given a little slip at the end, written by the judges who were judging the different categories. I won a highly commended award, and this is the feedback I was given. This has great potential, although it was more of a play than a film. We weren't able to hear the punchline, which was a pity as the tension built really well with the use of a background musical drone. A good interpretation of the theme made this stand out. So firstly, I just want to say, this is great having feedback. I really do appreciate getting this kind of feedback. I really find it interesting to see what other people think. First thing I'm going to say is, when it says, although this was more of a play than a film, I do agree with this to a degree, because I know it is a conversation, an 8-minute conversation between two people, and it's technically speaking one shot. However, the film does have clear defining features which couldn't really be done in theatre, and what I mean by this is the film has a clear style of having picture-in-picture shots inside the main shot. So this meant that, at points we'd see the guns, the so-called guns we could hear the characters talking about, these guns that were under the table, and we were seeing them. And this was just meant to be kind of getting into the character's head of what they're envisioning. And the whole point with having this as a separate shot, instead of having it on screen, was so there was a kind of ambiguity of whether the guns are actually there or not. And I actually slowly desaturated each shot through the course of the film, so you could kind of see that the characters were suspecting that, it's not real and stuff like that. And I guess you could kind of do that in theatre. However, you could probably see under the table, and also, you could maybe do it with AV, but then, maybe that play will be more like a film than a play. They say they weren't able to hear the punchline. Yeah, I understand that. It will be hard to hear, because the whole point with it is that two characters are saying two different things at the same time. So there's no real way you can kind of hear it. And I think maybe they were thinking it was one thing that was said, but it was actually two different lines said by the characters. I didn't really intend for it to be super clear. I kind of wanted this ambiguity again, to kind of, after the film's over, you kind of, step back and think, oh, what actually just happened? And I don't want the audience to think about what was said, and if they can't hear it, that's pretty good actually. I'm pretty happy with that, because it's not all just a clean ending. And the thing is, because the character Ben says do it, and Tommy says stop it. So although the lines are similar, you're not really going to hear it when it's together. And this is what it sounds like for an example. Stop it! So the only way you could really do it is to time the lines a bit differently, but I didn't want to do that. And overall, I was happy with how the punchline came out. They say the tension was built really well with the use of a background musical drone. Yes, that was very useful, that drone, as a kind of score for the film. I literally just went onto BandLab, went onto an organ or a synth or something, and taped down my mouse clicker and just held it there for 9 minutes and pressed record. So this is what I used for the film. I just ascended the volume throughout, so it would just build up. And I'm really happy with this kind of feedback of the tension, because that was the main thing I wanted to create with this film, was a tense kind of viewing experience. And then they say a good interpretation of the theme made this stand out, which, you know, that's great again, but I did not make it for the theme. So I was quite lucky with how well it kind of fit in, and clearly they think that also. Yeah, I made this film in like June of summer 2023, and then I got contacted about the event through someone else, and that was, I think that was maybe start of September, maybe just before that. And yeah, I was just really lucky it could fit in the time limit and also could fit in the theme quite well. I really appreciate, you know, the South Downs Filmmakers group for organising all this. The whole event was great. I got a certificate for a highly commended award. And overall, the kind of experience of seeing my film being, you know, shown and projected to a room of people was quite interesting. And I really hope people did enjoy it. I had some people afterwards like going like, oh yeah, I see what you did there with that and that and that. And I was like, oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Because I do realise my film was the longest, and mine's a single take, dialogue intensive drama thriller. So yeah, and that's the episode. Thank you very much for listening. It was a lot more of a shorter one, I'm sure, than our other episodes, but yeah, thanks for listening, and be sure to check out my new film that just came out, No Heading. It's on YouTube now on the channel, and also, you know, just subscribe. That'll be helpful. So yeah, thanks for listening. Bye.